Welcome back. Big show today, a lot to talk about. This is going to be our main story as we talk about Clark Kellogg and something that was making its rounds this morning on social media. My name is Rick. Welcome in. Make sure to subscribe. We're going to talk about that and quite a few other things today. We're going to talk about Clark Kellogg. That's going to be the main story. Does he know absolutely nothing about hoops? What do you think? Does he know absolutely nothing about hoops? We're going to touch on that in a minute, and you're going to see why. But before we get to that, welcome to the Sportscasters Club YouTube program. I think there are millions of Americans feeling that flu coming on. That flu comes on every year about this time. It's got nothing to do with the kids in school, their little petri dishes. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with this. March Madness, the NCAA tournament. I can remember as a youth what it was like to stay home and watch a full day of basketball. The Thursday, Friday of the NCAA tournament. Just awesome. Just awesome. And that gets going tomorrow. Obviously, the first four, they've got games tonight. But it starts tomorrow. If you're curious, my pick to win it all, Arizona. That's going to be my pick to win it all. I think a lot of it has to do with health, but we're not going to break it all down right here. That's who I've got. But a lot of people are preparing right now for not being at work tomorrow or the next day. It's kind of like the day after the Super Bowl when people come straggling in, half asleep. Well, it's the case when basketball culminates in March Madness. That's the time when casual fans and also serious fans sit their behinds in front of the television and watch, certainly for the first 4 days, because that's the real excitement, because the action never stops. So that's going to start tomorrow, 12:15. Let's see if Duke can get by Siena. What a great story that is. I mean, there's a lot of great stories, but I'm very interested in that one. The Siena Saints, they're obviously not going to beat Duke, but pretty cool for them to be there with Jerry McNamara. All right, another story we want to touch on before we get to the Clark Kellogg information. This is also the time of year when you think about the Masters. It's awesome. It's a great time of year because you've got baseball starting, you've got college basketball culminating with the tournament, and then you've got early April, the Masters down in Augusta, Georgia. And Tiger Woods, who had that replacement of a disc in his lumbar spine. I know a little bit about lumbar spinal surgery. And Tiger's still non-committal, not saying whether he's going to play or not. I don't know about you. Maybe it's just because of my age and the fact that I'm basically the same age as Tiger. Spring and Tiger Woods on the golf course just brings back so many great memories and signals that it's time for spring. Baseball obviously does that too, baseball season being back. But I always look forward to it. And 2019 was something nobody expected with Tiger coming out of nowhere and winning the Masters. Now we're just hoping that he's going to play and make the cut. That would be the second thing. But hopefully he'll play. He's non-committal this week. He didn't sound 100% sure of it. He said he's continuing his rehab. He's going to figure it out. He's going to take it day by day and see where he is. He's still got another month, almost a month. But let's hope Tiger Woods is going to be back there. Let's hope he's going to be at the Masters, because Tiger Woods on a golf course, it's incalculable what he has meant to the sport of golf over the past 25 years. You can't measure it, because people like me, people of all types who never watched golf, never cared about golf, all of a sudden Tiger Woods came on the stage and it was cool to like golf. It was cool to play golf. Some of us waited until the second half of life to get into golf, but Tiger Woods certainly has been so important. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope that he's able to get out there on the course in another 3.5 weeks and play in the Masters. Obviously, 1 week to go until Major League Baseball opening day, Yankees and Giants. Not real thrilled where that game's being broadcast, just because even though a lot of people do have Netflix, it's not on a local cable network that people can watch. I'm not a big fan of all the games, whether it's Amazon, Apple, Netflix. But be that as it may, Wednesday the games get started, and then more on Thursday and more on Friday. I've been listening to a lot of spring training games, listening and watching. Interesting fact I heard today, one of the great rivalries in the National League, Braves and Phillies. Those teams, they play 6 times at the beginning of the year, and then they don't play again for 111 games until the end of the season. That's interesting. And I know you're never going to make everybody happy. You're never going to make everybody, every fan, 100% pleased with exactly what the schedule is, because it's difficult, and it's gotten even more difficult now with interleague play, which I'm not a fan of. But one of the best rivalries in all of baseball, Phillies Braves, and they play 6 times at the beginning, and then they go almost 4 months without playing again. But then they do play, I think it's 7 times at the end of the year. So that could be interesting. You throw the Mets in there, and those 3 teams, will see what happens as they battle for the NL East. Always interesting. And I remember back in my day, back at 30 years ago, 35 years ago, young fans today wouldn't know it, but the Braves were terrible. They were a laughingstock every year. And now, I mean, the past 20 years, it's been the opposite. What an awesome organization they've turned out to be. So getting set for Major League Baseball next Wednesday, things get kicked off, and then more games to follow. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. But right now, let's get to today's top story. Does Clark Kellogg really know absolutely nothing? And here's how this came about. Here's how this story came about. I'm scrolling this morning on social media, scrolling on X, and I come across a post. And the post was from Babe Kwasniak, Coach Kwasniak. Awesome guy, former point guard for the Army basketball team at West Point. And I saw this comment that he had. And he was commenting on a post from Dan Dakich. So I looked a little further to see what this was all about. And basically, Dakich had said Clark Kellogg was a fine person, but knows absolutely nothing about hoops. And then Kwasniak, by the way, he was the point guard there my first year broadcasting at Army at West Point back in the late 1990s. And he's gone on to become an awesome coach himself, a leader. I mean, you always knew that. You always knew that was the kind of person he was, just watching him on the basketball court as the point guard for Army. But when I saw this comment, when Dakich said that Clark Kellogg knows absolutely nothing about hoops, I was shocked. I was surprised. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. And so I did dig a little bit deeper. Seems to be some other reasons that he made the comments. Not quite sure. Talking about pairing with Steve Kerr here, being switched out. You can go and take a look yourself. And I agree with Dakich on a lot of things. And he, I first obviously learned about him when I read Season on the Brink. That was the book written by John Feinstein a year after Dakich was a year after he was a senior at Indiana, and it talked about Bobby Knight. And then Dakich went on to become assistant coach, head coach himself, now a talk show host. I think he does a very entertaining program. I agree with him on a lot of things. But in this specific comment about Clark Kellogg, obviously I disagree massively. I don't remember if I ever met Clark Kellogg. I think I may have during my time broadcasting for Army. For some reason, I may have met him one day at Seton Hall. I don't recall. Could have been at Duke. I don't remember where. But he's got a great reputation as being a great guy. 30-plus year college basketball career. He was a star player with Ohio State, then had a really nice NBA career before injuries took their toll. And then in 2025, he was given that award by the Basketball Hall of Fame. So this is somebody that's established. He is, for many basketball fans over the last 3 decades, he is college basketball. In a lot of ways, he is college basketball. So I was shocked when I saw, I mean, there's no argument that he's a good guy and does a lot in the community, from Ohio, does a lot of great things there. But to say he knows absolutely nothing about college hoops, I was mystified by that. You can say what you want about pairings or about anything else, but I mean, we talk a lot about sportscasting and sportscasters here. And so that jumped out at me. It was on my feed. I saw it. And to me, Clark Kellogg is a terrific college basketball analyst. Not only the knowledge, but the way he presents it. The way he presents it, I think, is very important. And yes, he can get excited and go back and forth, whether it's with Charles Barkley or anybody else on the shows. But in my opinion, he's tame compared to some of the broadcasters now that are all about attitude and shtick and over-the-top hot takes. He tends to be more nuts and bolts, which I really appreciate. This is the post that I put out this morning. When I commented on it, I said Clark Kellogg is excellent for many reasons, including his understated substance. In today's overhyped media landscape, which is filled with attitude, hot takes, he's been extremely consistent. When I was the sports director at WFUV Radio at Fordham, the students wouldn't come in, the young teenage students, and they would say, I want to go on the air and give my hot takes. And I'd say, why not give an opinion that's well thought out, that's knowledgeable, that's informative, that's entertaining? Why does it have to be a hot take, which implies shock value? And some people do it, some don't. Obviously, today, it's much more normalized with the ESPNization of sports, as I call it, the way that sports have become much more attitude and opinion driven with a lot of the shows on ESPN, some of which are excellent. Pardon the Interruption was awesome. Tony Reali Around the Horn became a mainstay. But I'm from the Marty Glickman school, where it's more about entertainment, but it's mainly about the information. And that's what I think Clark Kellogg does so well, is he provides the information in an entertaining way without being over the top. It's not about him. It's not about, look at me, I'm Clark Kellogg. He's got a Rolodex as big as anybody in college basketball. Excellent relationships, fantastic knowledge as an analyst, as a former player. And so you get extreme value from him. But he does it without going overboard. That's what I like about it. And maybe that's the boomer in me, even though I'm not a boomer. And maybe the 18 or 20-year-old male sees it differently, and they want someone screaming and yelling and coming out with hot take after hot take. I just don't. So that's my opinion on that. Clark Kellogg, obviously, he knows his hoops, and there's really no debating that. And before we finish up today, we're going to get to the sportscasting tip of the day. This was one, I hear it all the time, and you do too. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to get these tips of the day whenever we go live or when we post a video here on YouTube. But this is when you hear, when they send it down to the sideline reporter, and the sideline reporter says, well, Joe, so-and-so told me his starter today is not going to go more than 3 innings and blah, blah, blah. Or I just spoke with so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. When I don't need to know you're the one that, they do it because they want you to know they're the one that talked to the coach. They want you to know that they got the information. And this has become more and more ingrained in broadcasting since social media, where everyone tries to be first with scoops, with information, with developing stories. Rather than being right, they want to be first. And it transcends itself to the sidelines too. So when they send it down to a halftime interview, I know Michelle Tafoya is the one that just talked to the coach. And I'm not saying her, I'm just saying her because she was a sideline reporter. I know that Pam Oliver is the one that talked to the coach. I don't need the sideline reporter to say, so-and-so told me. Just say, Coach McCarthy said. How about that? Coming out of the huddle, Phil Jackson told his team, now's the time to do it. Or something like that. Take yourself out of it. Don't put yourself between the listener and the viewer and the game. And that's what you do when you say, so-and-so just told me. Now, obviously, I'm making a generalization. On rare occasions, fine, it might work. But for the most part, no one's tuned in for you, the broadcaster. They're tuned in for the game. And because they're tuned in for the game, don't insert yourself in between. So that's just today's tip of the day. You may disagree. You may think I'm just saying get off my lawn, which I am. I'm always saying get off my lawn. It's nice to finally see the lawn here in the Northeast as the snow is finally gone and we've got baseball, college basketball, golf coming. It's awesome. It's awesome. Great time of year. This might be the best 30-day stretch. April might be the best month of the year for sports. It might be. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Let me know if you think Clark Kellogg knows anything about hoops. Let me know what you're thinking about Tiger, what you're thinking about Major League Baseball opening day. Let me know what you're thinking about anything else we've discussed. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Rick. Make sure you subscribe so you can see what we have next time. Until then, until next time, great to be with you today. Let's get out there and hit some golf balls, all right? Hit some golf balls. Let's go out there, check out some batting practice. It's baseball season. So long. Take care.